Welcome to DataViz Daily. I'm Kevin McGinley, and today I want to kind of show you a scenario here where I've got three different data sources. This is going back to the fantasy football data that I started with. I've got a file that has quarterback data in it, a file that's got running back data, a file that's got wide receiver, a file that's got tight end. And if we look at these data sources a little bit more, you can see year, week, name, team, and then a bunch of metrics related to statistics for that particular position. And if you'll notice here, for example, we've got rushing attempts, rushing yards, rushing TDs, because quarterbacks can run the ball, but running backs can also run the ball. So we've got rushing attempts, rushing yards, rushing TDs. We also have the same year, week, name, team, and we've got receptions as well, which applies to the wide receivers and tight ends. So there's a lot of common columns between these particular files. And if we look at how Data Visualization Desktop sort of joined them together, we see there's a lot of joins here between all the different files because there's a lot of common fields. But in terms of working with these files together, we don't really want to join them together. What I'm really interested in is stacking them together, because ultimately at the end of the day what I want to be able to do is have sort of one data set that has all the different positions. And so, for example, I could look across a single team, for example, and I could see all the fantasy points generated by that team. That's really not going to work in the sort of setup that we have here, because I need these data sets to sort of stack on top of each other, and I need the certain columns to align with each other that are common between all the different data sets, and then the columns that aren't the same across the data sets to still be representative and not be filled in for certain positions. So could data flows handle this scenario? So let's take a look. So if I go back out to the home here and go into my data sources and create a data flow, to keep this simple, I'm just gonna do two of the files to start with. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add quarterback data. And as you saw me in the last episode, I can actually add another data source here. So I'll add the running back data. Now, basically at this point in time, the only thing that I can really do is to, sort of control click both of these data files and try to join them. But let me show you what happens when I do that. So, I can do things like, I want all rows from quarterback and I want all rows from running back. And I could, control the different columns that they get joined on. So if I wanted to, add in, year and week, for example, I could do that. But again, I'm not really actually trying to join them here. So what you're going to find out here when I go to preview is what the tool is going to do is actually create a superset of both data files. So you can see here I've got year, week, name, team, and then I've got the rushing columns. But if I keep scrolling to the right, what you're going to see is, well, here are all of the passing columns. And so what's sort of going on here is that I don't have common columns like fumbles and fumbles lost, which applies to both, or points and points formula stacked on top of each other. What I have are sort of new columns created for both of those different data sets. And if we kind of scroll down from a preview perspective, it's really only showing the running backs at this point. But what you're seeing here is that I'm not stacking the data on top of each other. I'm actually adding this data out. And actually here you can see the quarterbacks listed in no particular correlation to the running backs. So, could I do something like add a step here that allows me to rename columns so that I could try to force these columns to be on top of each other? Well, unfortunately, no. So if I come in here and try to join on, try to make year the same, it actually gives me an error and saying, hey, you already have a year column. So the bottom line is that there's a limitation here with data flows in terms of how far we can go with wrangling our data. And so what I'd like to do in the next episode is show you a solution to handle this particular data wrangling scenario outside of Oracle DB Desktop. Thanks for watching.